Okay. So we have now for these 2 days, today's session and tomorrow morning session, we have a target of today I'm going to complete GSTR-3B, and then tomorrow morning we are going to work on GSTR-1, the basic 2 returns, which is usually required from us while doing the compliances work, the most commonly used returns. There are other returns, but these are the most commonly used returns. Okay, so we will start with GSTR-3B. Can anyone tell me what exactly is GSTR-3B, what you are required to file over there? Answers, please. So Sayali is saying sale and purchase. Sunita ji is saying tax liability. Arshad is saying it's monthly return. Okay. People are like it's GST payable for the period, tax computation, monthly, quarterly summary of GST liability after netting of the GST credit. Okay. So from the entire responses that I've got, so I'm getting a fair idea that you people have an idea about what is exactly the GSTR-3B. So it is a kind of the summary return. The summary return for whatever you have done during the previous month. You're filing the 3Bs, whatever you have done during the previous month. So you must have done sales, then you must have made some purchases. Purchases include every kind of purchases. Sales includes every kind of sales. So sales will include your taxable sales, nil rated sales, then your exempt, then zero rated, then non-GST. Then there are purchases, multiple categories, imports, ISD, input service distributor, then section 9(3) imports, purchases, sorry, reverse charge inputs, then all other ITC. And then you have exempt purchases, then you have nil rated purchases, then you have composition dealer purchases. So a lot of things are there. Okay. So when we were doing our first session, so this was a common query which was asked by multiple people, that what is the difference between exempt, nil, zero rated and non-GST supply? It was, I think this question came 20 times or 30 times on my portal. People are confused about it. So let's first discuss this in detail, and then we will open the GSTR-3B portal and how it is done and how it is not done. So before even understanding the different kind of sales, I would like to know, what do you people know about the date of filing of 3Bs? Can anyone tell me what is the date of filing of 3B? Okay, 20th of every month. Some are saying 18th of every month, 22nd of every month, 11th of every month. No, these are very mixed responses. So let's come to what exactly is the date when we are required to file the return. Okay, today we are talking only about the 3B. आज हम 1 के बारे में बात नहीं करेंगे. GSTR-1 के बारे में we are not going to talk at all about it. Arshad ji is saying dates changes because COVID. Agreed, Arshad ji. There are notifications which provide you with the extended dates of filing of the returns. But we are here talking about the general, what the law says. What according to the law is the date of filing of return. Whenever there are exceptions, it is accompanied with the notifications, right? So there are two kind of returns first. One is monthly, one is quarterly. Now, before coming to the date, this is another question that has arisen. Who are eligible for monthly and who are eligible for quarterly? Can I have an answer? Who are eligible for monthly return and who are eligible for quarterly return filing? Can I have answers? Okay. So people are saying more than 5 crores. Some are saying composition quarterly. Some are saying 1.5 crores. Okay. Quarterly. So again, a mixed response. So what the law says is that people with a turnover more than 5 CR have mandatorily required to file their returns monthly. They don't have an option. They have to file their return mandatorily as a monthly GSTR-3B. And the people having turnover less than 5 crores, they have an option. Now mind my words, I'm saying they have an option to file their returns quarterly. So when I say option, it means they can go ahead with monthly return filing if they want. They have an option given by the government that you don't need to go ahead with the quarterly return filing, you can go ahead with the monthly. Now at this point, I would like to give you the practical scenarios that what exactly happens that you want to go ahead with the monthly return filing instead of quarterly return filing. It depends upon business to business. So now this quarterly return filing scheme is called QRMP scheme. So in the entire class, whenever I'm saying QRMP scheme, I'm talking about the quarterly return filers, otherwise monthly return filers. So QRMP scheme, what happens is that in this scheme, QRMP, you are going to deposit taxes. See, the government will never leave its taxes. You will be required to make the payment of the taxes under the QRMP scheme every month. And you will be filing your 3B quarterly. When I work as a chartered accountant, I suggest my clients to go ahead with the QRMP scheme only and only if their business is such that they don't have huge fluctuations. What I mean to say is that, let's suppose every month I'm going to make a sale of rupees 1 CR only. Approximately 1 CR. It might be 95 lakh or it might be 1 crore 5 lakh. 5 to 10% of variation is there, but not more than that. Then I suggest, okay, you can go ahead with the filing of QRMP scheme. It's not mandatory for you to go to file monthly because you're not required to make the calculations every month. Okay. Bhagwanji is saying, please explain QRMP scheme. Bhagwanji, don't worry. We are going to do everything today. So first we will do the monthly GSTR-3B properly, and then I'm going to explain everything about QRMP scheme. I'm giving you a snapshot right now so that you get to know why monthly and why quarterly. So a person is required to file quarterly return only when his business is similar throughout the period. Throughout the period means for the entire quarter. For example, the people who have given their property on commercial rent. Commercial rent is taxable under GST, and rental income, obviously, it remains same for 11 months. There is no changes until unless exception scenarios like in COVID, it remains the same. So I asked him, okay, you can go ahead with the QRMP scheme, not an issue. But the people whose turnover is like 1 month it is 5 lakhs, and next month it is 1 crores, and the next month it is like 10 crores. I don't ask them to go into the QRMP scheme, right? If their turnovers are fluctuating over a wider horizon, sorry, I can't do QRMP scheme for you people, because in reconciliations, determining tax liability, everything is very difficult. And when you have to determine tax liability every month, then why to go with the quarterly scheme? It's better to go ahead with the monthly return filing. Okay, so in the back slide, we were discussing when I'm required to file. For monthly, it is 20th of the following month. Currently, it's only the one deadline, 20th of the following month. 2 months before, it was multiple deadlines depending upon the state in which you were registered. But now, current month, and even in the last month, that when I say for the month of May and June, I had only one date, 20th of the following month. Okay. Quarterly, we have two dates, 22nd and 24th, depending upon in which state we are registered. So I'm taking to you my PPT as well. In this, you are getting everything, whatever we are discussing, all the theory, everything for you to read, nothing you are going to miss. Okay. So you will see. So if I see what is the deadlines for 22nd and 24th for these states. For these states, it is 22nd, and for these, it is 24th. Nimish, don't worry, I'll be sharing all the PPTs with you. Last class PPT has already been shared. This will I also be sharing. Okay. So by Monday evening, I think 24 to 48 working hours from the end of the class, all the data will be there with you. So these are the states, 22nd for these and 24th for this. I think this you can read it. And Arshad is saying the last PPT is not received, and he has even made a sad smiley. Arshad, I have shared the PPTs in the form of PDF. So for the registration, it was a very long PPT. I believe it had 120 slides something. So 60-70 pages are there in that PDF. Please check your mails. You must have received it. Okay. So this is something, the dates. Also one more thing. जब हम ये कर ही रहे हैं, we are discussing it alongside. So what happens is that if your turnover is less than 5 crores for the previous financial year. Now, let's suppose currently I'm talking, this is the financial year 21-22 going on. So the previous financial year for me is, let's take it on the slide. So my current financial year is 21-22. Previous financial year will be 20-21. So what the portal will see, my turnover for this financial year to determine in the current financial year, should I be monthly filer or a quarterly filer? So let's suppose if in this, my turnover is 3 crores. So by default, it will tell me that, ma'am, you need to be a quarterly return filer. So by default, for Q1, that is April to June, I will be taken in the quarterly return filing category. But then I have an option. If I want to go for the monthly thing, I have an option. This option is available up to 30 days of the first month. That is, if I talk about first quarter, it is 30th April 2021. I will have an option that I can opt for the monthly scheme. Okay. Beyond 30th, if you forget to take the option of monthly before 30th April, then you will be mandatorily shifted into the quarterly scheme. You can't make changes into that. If you have to make changes, then for that entire quarter, that is April to June, you have to be a quarterly return filer. For the next quarter only, now you will get an option that you want to opt for quarterly or a monthly scheme. Pranavi is asking for a repeat. So I'm repeating it, that while determining the system itself, the GST portal, that are you eligible for a monthly return or a quarterly return, what it will check. For the previous financial year, what is your turnover? If my turnover is 3 crores, I am eligible for quarterly return filing. So by default, for the financial year 21-22, it will take me to the quarterly return filing. But still I have an option up to 30th day of the first month of the quarter to opt for monthly return filing if I want to opt for monthly return filing. So I can go and opt for the monthly return filing. I don't want to opt for quarterly return filing. But if you miss the period of 30th April, then for the first quarter, you have to be in the quarterly thing only. You can't change it. You will get the changing option then for quarter 2. So what will happen for quarter 2 if, let's suppose you have opted for the monthly thing. So if you have opted for monthly thing in the first quarter, quarter 2 will by default take you to the monthly thing only. So it sees that for the previous quarter, you have given this decision, I want to be in monthly, it will take you to monthly. Now, let's believe that in the second quarter, you felt like that I don't want to be in monthly, I want to be in quarterly. You can again go and change the option. So this option will be available. Again, this option is available only 30 days from the beginning of the quarter. Okay, getting my point? Pradhanji is asking how to opt for monthly file. Pradhanji, you have to go on the portal 30 days of the beginning of the quarter. You will get an option. You want to opt for QRMP scheme or a monthly scheme, and accordingly you can choose it. Okay. So let's go back to my PPT. So I have mentioned everything, though I have not written it. I thought I'll write it. So it is 30 days. Then last dates of filing. So somebody was asking me that what is the basis of last date of filing? Dear, I don't know why the government has decided these states by 28th and these states by 24th. Something given by the government. Okay. Okay. So then we start with the process of logging in on the GST portal. Now in this PPT, I have given you all the screenshots. Whatever we are going to do right now on the portal, everything is available on the PPT. So you're not going to miss anything, right? So let's come back to this thing. So we have done the date of filing, summary return during the thing. So we started with the date of filing of return. Okay. Once we start, let's open the GST portal as well. Is anybody interested in sharing their GST portal user ID password? Or should I open mine? And I have to see the user ID and passwords. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Okay. Okay. So I'm logging it. gst.gov.in. So I'm going for login. I'm going to log in. Okay. So I've logged in for my own self. So you have two options when you come to the GST portal, that where do you want to log in? Your return dashboard, where you can go ahead and see the 3Bs available. So this option is one, return dashboard. If I'll click here, I'll get all the returns that I can file, or I can go to services. Then there is returns, and again there is return dashboard. So two ways through which you can approach your GSTR-3B. Both the ways, wherever I'm going to click, I'm going to reach the same place. So I'm clicking here. So I'm reaching to my GSTR, the filing returns portal for financial year 21-22, the current financial year going. Then it will ask which quarter. So quarter 2 is going. I believe the returns for June have not been filed. No, for the June have been filed. So it is for quarter 2. I'll say July and I say okay. So for July, oh, the thing is that it's not visible here. Wait a minute, dear. So this 3B is filed. It is not giving me the option to file the 3B because till yet it is 31st July. Wait a minute. So any return for which my return has not been filed. Can you people please hold on? Let me call for another user ID and password. Just 1 minute. Okay. Sorry, people. The thing is that today we can't see 3B on the portal because for the month of July, it will be available from tomorrow. So Arshad, what you are saying is that we need to file one or IFF. It's not mandatory. So there are many people for whom it's only the 3B whose return they have to file and they don't have input purchases. So from the very first of the month, the 3B option is available to them. It's not available today. So what I'm taking to you, I'm taking you on the June 1, though it does not have much data in it. Which I have logged in. Okay. So I am taking you over here. Okay. So it's a minute data that I've filled for the month of June. There is nothing much. Okay. So since it's not practically we are going through the very first tab, I wanted to show you one thing. What happens is that before you click, let's suppose I'm going for Q1, then I'm saying June, I'm saying search. When you click on this monthly return GSTR-3B, it will ask you one more question. I'll show you that on the slide. When you click on this, okay, Nandini is saying you are filing quarterly now, then why filing for July alone? No, Nandini, I am filing monthly. My personal return is a monthly return filing. I'm not into quarterly. Every month, it shows a message on the above that you have opted for monthly return filing, or you need to choose. It will give you this option. So we are going ahead with the monthly return filing. I'm showing you that, not a quarterly return filing thing. So once you go there, you click on this prepare online. I'm going with the online option first, then I'll teach you the offline option. So this box comes first, which is not currently being shown on my particular profile because this is already filed return. If you would have gone through a new return, hum kal morning mein, when we will start in the morning, so we will once go through the 3B portal also because tomorrow my 3B will be visible over there. So we can go ahead. So once you go through this, it will ask you the first question. Do you want to file a nil return? Let's suppose for any month, there are many scenarios. What can happen is that for a particular month, there was neither sales, neither there was any purchases made by you. So instead of going inside the form and mentioning every detail 000, you have an option that I want to file a nil return. Nil form GSTR-3B for a tax period can be filed if you have not made any outward supplies, you have not received any inward supplies, and you don't have any liability. Liability in terms of anything. Now, what does it mean? Liability for anything. When I'm saying there is zero outward liability, there is zero ITC, then what it is talking about no liability. It can happen that for the previous month, you have filed your returns late. So you have a liability in terms of late fees. If you have late fees to be paid, then you cannot file a nil return. You have to go through the entire process. Okay. So you will say yes, you will click on yes, and then okay. Then you will not be taken into inside the form directly. You will be taken into the filing page. Right. If you say no, that I don't have a nil return, then this page will get displayed to you and it will say that these three summaries have been generated and have come into your GSTR-3B automatically. Now, what are these three summaries? So you will get data from GSTR-1 and you will get data from GSTR-2B. Now, what is one? You already know the return for sales. Whatever I have filed in my GSTR-1. So my GSTR-1 is going on 11th of every month. So by 11th, I will file that. Let's suppose I'm filing 2 lakhs. My sale value is 2 lakhs. I have filed this. So automatically, when it will go to GSTR-3B, automatically it will take the value of taxable sales. If in one I have shown that as a taxable value as 2 lakhs, automatically my data will be input. So if you will see in the slide, so what all data it will fill? Table 3.1, A, B, C, D, E, and table 3.2 of GSTR-3B will be automatically filled by the GSTR-1 data. I'll show you on the GST portal also. Wait. And then on the basis of 2B. Now, what is this 2B? This I'm talking about my GSTR-1. What I have filed. Then there might be GSTR-1 is filed by my vendors. Vendors, when I say vendors, the people from whom I had made the purchases, they also file their GSTR-1 by the 11th. Now let's suppose I have made purchases of 1 lakh rupees, including GST of 18,000. So when this vendor will file his return, this 18,000 will appear in my GSTR-2B as my ITC, input tax credit. The vendor will show that I have made a sales to this particular person, the B2B sale, the registered person, and now this will get reflected into my 2B. So when in 2B it will come, it will automatically flow into my GSTR-3B column where all the inputs are there. You will see on the portal, just giving you this information, these two returns will get automatically hit into my 3B. This is something I believe it has started happening for last 5-6 months. So whenever the data comes automatically from the GSTR1 and GSTR2B, if you make any changes more than 5 to 10%, it gets reflected as red. Okay, it will become red and it will be shown on the portal that you have made changes on that. And when it becomes red, see, automatically your return is highlighted. So I generally avoid that my clients should not come into such scenario that we are required to make any changes. But see, this is a general rule. It can happen. See, business has practical situations and practical issues that we might enter into a situation where my GSTR1 data becomes different from my GSTR3B. For example, let's take a practical example into this scenario. Now, when I filed my GSTR1, by default, I missed one bill. So I have mentioned 30 bills for that particular month on the portal, but I missed one bill. But when I was filing GSTR3B, I realized that, oh, I have missed that one bill. So, okay, now I've realized my mistake, then why I should commit the same mistake again in my 3B? I should not do that. I should rectify it. So I will rectify that mistake, and in 3B, I'll show the correct sales, and accordingly, I'll discharge my liability. In the one, the mistake that I've committed, I can correct it when I'll be filing my next GSTR1. Okay. So if I'll see the portal, let's go on the portal. The first column is called table 3.1. So once you open it, this is the outward supplies. Details of the outward supplies and the inward supplies liable to reverse charge you have to fill. अब ये जो यहाँ पे 5 आइटम दे रखे हैं ना, हम ये 5 आइटम पहले अच्छे से समझेंगे, फिर हम आगे बढ़ेंगे. क्योंकि इसी पे I think I have got 15-20 questions that we want to know what is the difference in these kind of sales. Okay, let's take it on our sheet. So when I talk about this is table 3.1. So table 3.1 says first is outward taxable supplies. So this is the last column, the left column that I'll fill. But it will come by default from GSTR1. Okay. Then there is zero rated sales. Let's understand what is zero rated sales. Zero rated sales is sales to outside India. Then it can be to SEZs. Then it can be to SEZ developers. That is, in short, outside the domestic territory of India. If you are making zero rated sales, you will mention here exports. In general term, I'll call it as an exports. Now this export can be of two types. With payment of taxes and without payment of taxes. Why with and why without? Any idea? Just a simple, I want this feedback. Why with and why without? How the zero rated sales can be with payment of taxes and without payment of taxes? Nandini is saying taking returns. Custom duty, Arshad ji is saying LUT. Ganesh ji is saying apply LUT, no tax. Sales to SEZ. Okay, Sunita ji has came with the right answer, to promote exports. So what my government says, if you have known that the government motto is promote the exports, not the taxes. The government says this, that we need to promote the exports, not the taxes. If the people, the manufacturer or the trader or the service providers, they have to incur this GST liability because of the services or the goods they are supplying outside India, then they will be under a burden. So what the government has given them benefit in order to promote the exports from India. When the exports will be promoted, we will have a greater part of foreign direct investment coming into India. More of the foreign currency is flowing into India, right? So the government says that when you make exports, I'll give you the benefit. You are not required to make the payment of the taxes. When I say I'm doing exports, tell me which GST will go? IGST, CGST, SGST. What I'm going to charge if I'm doing with payment of taxes? Yes. So everyone has came with the correct answer, that is IGST. If I'm doing with payment of taxes, I'm going to pay IGST. So there are goods and there are services which you can export. So if I don't have an LUT, letter of undertaking, this is a document which is prescribed by the government of India, that if you apply for letter of undertaking and you have it, then I will not ask you to pay taxes on your exports. What is LUT? How to apply for LUT? Next week we are going to take that. LUT refunds, everything are following in the next week. So if I have an LUT, no LUT, it's with payment of taxes. Yes, LUT, then I won't make no payment of taxes. Okay, even if I'm doing, let's suppose I'm doing an export of lakh rupees, there is no taxes, no GST component on this. So how you will show in your 3B portal? I'm going to show over here outward taxable supply is zero rated. I'll show a lakh rupees here and zero here. This is how you represent. Lakh rupees here, zero here. I can't type it there right now. I thought that I'll go make you write also. I'll show you also, but I think I've chosen the wrong date for this. So lakh rupees here, zero here if without payment of taxes. Lakh rupees here, 18,000 here if with payment of taxes. Getting my point? How to show it? You are not going to write anywhere with payment of taxes or under an LUT. Nothing is going to be shown. You just need to mention what is it. Satyanji is asking, can we claim GST paid if no LUT is submitted as ITC? Satyanji, your question is not clear. I'm very sorry. Not able to make what you are trying to say in this. Maybe you can write your query in the question forum. Okay. Getting what is zero rated? Now let's come to the next point, that is C number. C number says nil rated, wait a minute, I made a mistake. Okay. Nil rated mate, it is keeping two components. C portion, it is including two components, nil rated and exempted sales. I believe this was the major confusion area for everyone. What is nil rated and what is exempted sales? What is the difference between them? Let's come to this. Alaguji is asking, will this automatically pre-filled from GSTR1? Yes, Alaguji, the export details will get automatically filled from GSTR1 because there is a separate column for mentioning of exports. So it will get automatically filled. What is nil rated and what is exempted sales? Though they are same, though, I'm saying though, but there is a difference. So what is nil rated sales? Actually, the nil rated sales are those which attract GST at the rate of 0%. The GST rate defined on these items are 0%. For example, grains, salt, jaggery good. So they attract what rate of GST? 0% rate of GST. Exempted are generally those items which are used in our everyday life, like bread, fruits, then milk, curd. These can be taxed under GST, but since they are used in everyday life, so the government has issued a mega exemption list. Mega exemption list is there. This is a notification which provides that what all items are there on which we are going to charge no GST from you for the time being. Okay, right? Nandini ji is saying, she's asking a very valid thing, that salt and grains are also daily use things. I agree. But the government thinks that these items can't be taxed. Grain, salt and jaggery, they can't be taxed, and that is why they have given specifically 0%. It is defined 0% only until unless there will be any notification or amendment in the Finance Act, it will be 0%, right? But in this exempted sales, exempted items, it has been given that they are currently having exemptions from taxation under GST. So they have bifurcated it like that. Exempted sales covers a lot of things like even magazines, newspapers. There are no GST on that. So I'll share one document with you. Okay. So what I'm, wait a minute. So I can share one document with you which covers all the mega exemption list. Okay, I'm right now sharing it with you. So this is the Google exemption list. All the items which have been exempted by the government. From my side, it has gone. Please check all your this webinar portal from where you can get this. R.K. Pradhanji saying, our zero rated items are these three, what you have mentioned. Pradhanji, zero rated items are not these. Zero rated items can be any taxable item which you are exporting. Zero rated is basically your export sales. So if you export any item, it will become a zero rated item because of the nature being export sales. The items that are defined over here in nil rated are the ones which have a zero rate of GST. Okay, correct. Now, I believe R.K. Pradhanji, there might be other things also where are 0%. There is one service relating to agriculture, something which is also in the 0% rate category. There are not a lot many items which are under 0%. There is one service also, but exempted has a lot of items. That list I have already shared. You people can go through that. This is a mega exemption list. Okay. So Nandini is saying that can the government change the exempted things to be taxable later? Yes, they have an option. They can remove the mega exemption and make it taxable. They have this option available with them. So when you will see on the GST portal, even on the outward supplies, nil rate and exempted, they have given you just an option to write the taxable value. No GST option is given over here. Okay, there is no GST option available here. In zero rated, only IGST option was available. CGST and SGST was not available because exports always carry IGST, and an exempted and nil rated, no option for GST is there. Okay. So now Arshad ji is saying PPT and PDF handouts here. Arshad ji, PPT and PDF are around 2 GB, 3 GB data, which cannot go through this handout place. I'm very sorry. Okay, now let's move forward. Before coming to RCM, I'm coming to non-GST. Can anybody tell me what are non-GST items? Non-GST items are those which are not covered by GST, on which the GST law does not apply. Okay, these are the non-GST items. So Veena has come out with petrol, petroleum products, alcohol. Correct. So very correct. It is the petrol, petroleum products. So petroleum products has 2, 3, 4 items in that. Alcohol. These are your non-GST items. No GST will be charged on it. It would be the different taxes which are applicable on it. Okay. I believe everyone goes to the restaurants. We go out for party nights. Saturday night, Friday night. Currently, though you are spending your Saturday evenings with me, there is no party happening. But Friday nights or Sunday nights, there must be party going on. You must see your restaurant bill very carefully. So when you will see your restaurant bill, so it has two components, food and drinks, provided we are talking about alcoholic drinks. Somewhere I think I'm committing mistake for the spellings, just don't mind it. Some spellings of mine are weak. Satyanji is saying no party nowadays. No, still now the things have back to their normal track, though you should avoid it. But once in a blue moon, I think one can go for a party. Okay. So Satyanji is saying he's taking bill for food and drinks separately. That's a good habit. So I'm trying to explain that only. What happens is that food attracts GST, but drinks attracts VAT. It is not covered by GST. If you take one consolidated bill, what they will do, they will charge 100 rupees on food. Let's suppose you have taken food for 100 rupees. You have taken again drinks for 200 rupees. You have taken 200 rupees drinks. Okay. And VAT on drinks, I think I don't remember exactly the rate for VAT. I'm taking it 20%. 40 rupees is VAT. Then what they will do, they will total all. It will come out to 340. And then they will charge GST on it. Restaurants, the GST rate is 5%. They will charge GST on 340. So you end up paying taxes on taxes. Now this GST is calculated even on the VAT component. It's a double taxation happening. Why this is happening? Because GST law, there is a concept. This is a very in-depth concept of GST, mixed supply and composite supply. It's a very vague thing currently what we are studying into. I'll take it someday, mixed and composite supply. So this is a kind of composite supply where my one supply is dependent upon the other. So what the people will do, they will consolidate whatever is there in the bill, totals are done, and then they will charge GST on that. When I talk about taxable value for GST, taxable value for GST is inclusive of other taxes also. So it is a harm to us. And if we take separate bill for food and separate for bill for drinks, what will happen? On the food bill, they will charge GST, and on the drinks bill, they will charge VAT. because now the drinks bill is separate. It is not covered by GST. It's a non-GST item, so they cannot charge GST on that if the separate billing is done. So if the bills are huge, you can make these changes, take separate bills, you will be saved with a lot of money. And you will then get the money for doing the party next time. Okay, so this is the non-GST item. Satyan, which kind of notification you are talking about? For getting separate bills, there is a notification. For VAT, as in? Alcohol is covered under VAT laws. So VAT is there. VAT is going to be charged till the time alcohol is not covered by GST. Any taxation would be there. How the government will avoid such huge taxation which comes out of these alcohol, liquor and cigarettes? Okay. So if you are dealing into non-GST things, can I come out with a practical example? If anyone can tell me, what kind of dealers can be there who have taxable supplies and who have non-GST supplies as well? Any idea? Let me see. Single answer. Nobody responding. Okay, hotel industry. She took from the current example what I've told. Oil marketing companies, right? Okay, one more example. We visit every day. Hotel is one of the example. Petrol pumps. We are going to the petrol pumps every day. So Arshad ji is right. He's giving me the same answer. Petrol pump. So on petrol pump, the majority of the sales is of non-GST supply. Petrol, diesel, all are non-GST. But then they're also selling those lubricants, oils. छोटे छोटे वहां पे एक pantry सी होती है where you can buy things related to your cars. Those are taxable supplies. So that is why the petrol pump has to take the registration and then it has to declare the taxable supplies over here and non-GST output supplies here. Because of which the petrol pumps become liable to declare it. So there are assessees who need to declare the non-GST output supplies also. Okay, then the next is, the fourth one comes out to be what is mentioned, liable to reverse charge. Okay. Please see carefully. What does it mention? Inward supplies liable to reverse charge. This is talking about only the inward supplies, not your outward supplies. There can be a scenario that you are also a dealer whose supplies are taxable under reverse charge. Those supplies are not required to be mentioned here. What you will mention in D point, the inward supplies. Your inward supplies. जैसे, for example, I have shared 9-3 sheet last time with every one of you. खोला या नहीं खोला सब कुछ पढ़ने के लिए या just for the sake की data चाहिए? Okay, so now I'm getting answers. I have to act like a strict teacher. Okay, okay. The very common example, legal fees. Any business, lawyers, anyone can need the lawyer services. So if I want to, I have incurred this expenditure, legal fees, and it is a lawyer and it says that I need to pay the taxes, right? So you need to pay on the legal fees. I have incurred an expenditure of 10,000 for the month of June. So when I'm filing the return for the month of June, legal services are taxable at the rate of 18%. So I'll pay 18%. Let's take, this is a CGST, SGST thing, 900, 900. I will declare this into that D point of table 3.1. Why all these, why the inward supplies are becoming a part of table 3.1? Simple logic. Table 3.1 is talking about your liabilities. The liabilities that you have to discharge. So whatever tax you are required to pay, charge mechanism is your liability. That is why it is becoming a part of my table 3.1. So whatever 9.3 I have already shared with you last time. So Nandini, we are talking about table 3.1, clause D, which talks about your liabilities arising because of reverse charge inward supplies. In the last session, I have already shared a sheet under section 9.3, which covers what all services are under reverse charge mechanism. So if you have taken any inputs from any of those services, you need to go through the section 9.3 and you need to make the payment of the taxes. So what I'll do, such taxes, I'll go here, I'll mention what is the supply, 10,000 rupees, CGST 900 and SGST 900 I'll mention. Okay. So B to E we have done. What we need to mention. Okay. So Alaguji is saying please highlight on cess. See Alaguji, if there is anything which involves cess, like for example, I am a dealer into cars. Wait a minute. I am a dealer into cars and that too luxury cars like Mercedes, BMW, the big cars. So these big cars involve cess. Cess liability is there. Also like I think items like beverages, these cold drinks, etc. They also attract cess. So if I'm liable to pay cess, so when I am declaring my liability over here, I'll mention this is my cess liability. If any of my inward supplies which are liable to RCM and on which there is a cess liability, I'll mention it over here in the cess column. Cess is a kind of additional taxation which is imposed by the government. There are many reasons for that, be it a luxury item, be it some kind of COVID cess, the kind the government want to impose. Okay. So now last, the major chunk. This is the major chunk, outward taxable supplies. What all do we mention here? Table 3.1 ka A clause. Outward taxable supplies. Other than whatever I have mentioned there. Whatever is left, my taxable supplies. And this has to be a toto. When I say toto, let's suppose I have rendered 1 lakh supplies on which 9,000 CGST, SGST was liable. Then I have rendered 1 lakh of services on which IGST of 18,000 was applicable. So how I'll mention the totals? I'll mention as 2 lakhs is my taxable value, 18,000 in IGST column, 9,000 in CGST and 9,000 is SGST. So this is the row which will hit my table 3.1 clause A. I'm not going to show them separately. Similarly, there can be services under 9.3. Let's suppose I am a one person who is into rendering two kind of services. One is taxable supplies and one is RCM. Let's like for example this security services. I'm into this security services, which is taxable under RCM. So I have rendered a security services of 50,000 during the month. So this only will be a part. This won't, the taxes involved on this won't come here. So it will be a total of 2,50,000, 18,000, 9,000 and 9,000. Please, यहाँ पे ध्यान देना. Please do take care. Don't add taxes on this over here. If you will do so, what will happen? The system is a system. It's a computer. It does not understand things. It will add the liability on this and you will be required to discharge it on your own. This would be a double taxation impact on you. Once you are paying and once the person who has taken services from you, he or she will pay under reverse charge. Please iska dhyan rakhna. Initially, when the law came, the people incurred a lot of mistakes. They mentioned it, and then you are not required to make the changes, and they were forcefully required to make the payments. Okay. So this is what which comes into this outward taxable supplies. But when you have already filed your GSTR-1, so tomorrow we will do what exactly we are going to file in GSTR-1. ये सारी चीजें we are going to mention separately in GSTR-1. So when you mention GSTR-1 में things, so it will automatically come in all these columns. Okay? Except D. D will not come from GSTR-1 because we mentioned these taxable supplies, exempt supplies, nil rated supplies, zero rated supplies, and non-GST supplies in GSTR-1. But I don't mention my inward supplies in GSTR-1. GSTR-1 is only meant for outward supplies. ये कहाँ से आएगा फिर? ये automatically कहाँ से आएगा? ये कहाँ से पता चलेगा आपके 2B से? You will file your GST, you will get your GSTR-2B based upon what your vendors have filed in their GSTR-1. So when they will file the GSTR-1, so your vendor जिससे आपने security services ली हैं या legal services ली हैं, वो अपनी GST return में दिखाएगा कि I have given services to Deepika. Now Deepika is liable to pay reverse charge on this particular bill. So it will appear here. But it can be also possible. I have taken legal services and that lawyer is not registered under GST. So it won't get reflected from 2B. I will myself go and mention it here and pay the taxes. So that change will happen. What 2B is mentioning and what I am referring. That change will happen, but this is a positive change. See, you people need to understand one thing. Generally, I'm again talking generally. When the revenue will have a problem with you making the changes, revenue will always raise a concern with you while making the changes when you are reducing the revenue, when you are reducing your GST liability. But if you're not reducing it, it's increased. So it's only 1% chances you will get a notice from the department that why your liability was 0 and now you are showing it as 10,000. Please justify. It will happen only in 1% scenario. Excess of taxes, they are not bothered about it. But if the liability already declared was 10,000 and you are saying, no, I'm liable to pay only 1,000, revenue will come back and ask you why you did that. Please justify and please explain it. Okay? Getting it? I think table 3.1 is clear to us. 3.1. Okay. So let's do one thing. I'm doing cancel over here. I should have said confirm if my return have not been filed. Let's do 3.2 table as well and then we'll take the break, not before that. Table 3.2 is what? It's basically a bifurcation of interstate supplies that you have mentioned in table 3.1. Only the interstate supplies mentioned in table 3.1 to unregistered persons. So Ramachandran ji has come out with a question. He says, if the vendor filed the GST later to my GST filing, can we use it for next month? Ramachandran ji, see, you can't say that the vendor has committed a default, then I also get a right to commit that default. You have the bill that you have received from the vendor. The bill very clearly says that either you are required to pay reverse charge or either you are liable to take the ITC. ITC वाला portion अभी side में रखते हैं. But if it mentions you are liable to pay the taxes under reverse charge, you have a proper bill. You have a liability to discharge. So you cannot deny just because the vendor has not filed the return that I won't pay. It will attract interest liability on you. So don't do that. When you know there is a liability, discharge it. Okay. So table 3.2, when I talk about table 3.2, what I have to declare? Sales which are interstate which are to unregistered suppliers, unregistered customers, or UIN holders, or what does it say is your composition taxable person. If you are rendering services to these and that to interstate, you have to give a bifurcation over there, and that to totals. Like, for example, I am a person and I make sales online. जैसे आप कोई भी वेबसाइट ले लो जिससे आप घर का सामान खरीदते हो. I am a person selling goods online and I can have customers all over India. And I am dealing into home things, the decor things. So if I'm dealing with the decor things, 80% of my customers are going to be the end consumer without having any GST number. So what I'll do, every month I'll prepare a list of my sales being made state-wise. Then interstate detail I'll take out, that this is my interstate detail, and then I will take out the unregistered customers totals. I am going to mention in this. Okay, I'll mention the unregistered dealer state-wise. It's not opening currently. If I'll drop it down, it will show me the details, the options for all the states. I'll select it and then file it. Similarly, for composition taxable persons, I'll get all the states to whom I have given. It will be available here. So you can understand this is a kind of data collision. The data collision that the government is doing, we want to see how much sales is being made to unregistered persons, the composition person, and the UIN holders. Get the point. These are the sales from where now the GST won't be transferred to any other person. These are the end areas. So if in total my sales is 5 lakh rupees, out of which to these three persons I'm making a sale of 3 lakh rupees. So the 2 lakh rupees is going to business, then again it will get to the another level of GST payment. But for these 3 lakhs, this is the end point. No further flowing of GST is going to happen. These kind of data the government required to do their statistical analysis. Many people skip filling this data. Please don't skip it. It also attracts penalty. There is a penalty provision. I exactly don't know what exactly is the penalty. You can receive a notice from the government to tell why you are not filling table 3.2. In my experience, I'm telling 80% of the people are skipping filling this table 3.2. Okay. So once you fill your 3.1, then your 3.2, it is done. And then we will come to this eligible ITC. So this is one portion, your outward tax liability, which we have completed. Then we'll move to this eligible ITC thing. Okay. So students, we will not take a very long break. So currently it is 7:18. We will meet sharply at 7:30. Okay. Be on time. Don't be late. Have your cup of tea. Enjoy. Yes, are we back all? Okay, chalo, let's move forward. We have to complete a lot of things today. थोड़ा सा speed में पकड़ रही हूँ इसलिए I don't want things to be missed out. Okay. So thereafter, then the next table appears to you is table 4. See, it looks nice if you remember the table numbers 3.1, 3.2, and then your table 4. So table 4 will talk about all the ITC that is available to you. Now, ITC has many things over where we will discuss this in detail, the rule 42 and 43, very important rules of GST which people ignore. Most of the people are ignoring this reversal of ITC. So let's start from the beginning. What it says, the very first thing is import of goods. Simple. If you are doing import of goods, the things are coming outside India towards India. So at the customs stations, you get the bill of entry. The bill of entry has all the information regarding IGST charged, then your custom taxes, cess, everything is mentioned over there. Okay, so by default, the custom duty is 10%. So IGST will be charged on what? The taxable value plus custom duty, and then you will be paying the IGST. Again, tax on taxes. This is happening in import of goods. So this is the IGST you will be mentioning here on the import of goods. Now import of services, an important area to look upon, which we miss. Any example of import of services? Any example? Please people wake up. I believe you had a nice cup of coffee or tea in this break for 10 minutes. I want to see some good answers on my system. Okay, now people are giving me answers. Okay, so a lot of complicated things are coming, royalties, data related services, foreign technicians, software services. A lot of things are coming. Let's take a very simple example. Very simple example I'm taking. Generally, most of our clients, we all have iPhones. I've seen people subscribing to these iTunes and iPhone softwares. So if you subscribe to these iTunes, iPhone softwares and everything, the bill comes in dollars because it is not coming from India. It is coming from Apple, any country, whatever, Apple US, Apple Canada, you're getting the bill from there. And you are making the payment through your debit or credit cards. Online payments is happening. While making the books of accounts, you are mentioning this as an import of services. But where is the GST? This GST has to be paid under reverse charge. When I talk about import of services, there will be no GST on the bill because you are receiving the tax invoice from a person who is outside the taxable territory of India. अगर कोई कनाडा में है जिससे हम कोई भी सर्विस ले रहे हैं, be it subscription, be it your software services, anything, हम वहां से उससे सर्विसेज ले रहे हैं तो वो जीएसटी लगा के क्यों देगा? He won't charge GST on the bill. But this is something we are importing. This is import of services happening. So what we'll do, we will determine the rate applicable on it. Pay taxes under RCM. We will first pay under RCM. तो ये कहाँ declare होगा आपका? Table 3.1 का कौन सा clause? D clause. We will declare that and then we will take ITC of the same where table 4, and I believe this is your A2, this import of services. So what I remember is that people were asking this question also, that if I pay RCM, when I should take the ITC? Should I take the ITC in the same month or the different month? So this is how you will feed the data. For the same month, I'm feeding the data liability in 3.1D, table 3.1D clause, and ITC of the same in 4A2. Sunita ji is saying that, but if recipient is URP, Sunita ji, recipient is URP in case of import of services. All import of services is going to be happening from unregistered person. URP full form, unregistered person. Canada does not have the, it's not within the applicability of GST laws of India. So it is URP for us. So we will pay reverse charge taxes on that and we will take an ITC. And to make it more clear, I think you are confused because you are saying that table 3.1D में जो data आता है, it comes from 2B. मैंने जब अभी बताया था तब आपको ये भी बताया था कि यहाँ आप चेंजेस कर सकते हो क्योंकि 2B में जो डेटा आएगा वो रजिस्टर्ड पर्सन्स के लिए आएगा. But this case, import of services, for example, you have to make the changes because it is from URP and you will mention it in this. Okay? So now Partha ji is asking one question. Legal services availed in foreign country by an Indian company for a dispute in foreign country is attracting RCM. Partha ji, you have to be more specific on this specific case. It is a very specific case. Now this Indian company is the dispute that it is having in a foreign country. Is it with the foreign entity of this Indian company? Do we have a subsidiary or any kind of foreign entity in that country where we are going to book this expenses? Second question. If it is in a foreign country, but it is on account of this Indian company only, then understand that question. Nexus with India. It has a nexus with India. Okay, it's in India only. Now it's defining it's in India only. Now I'm an Indian company. I got into a dispute into foreign country. Might be I'm dealing with some company in Canada. I had a dispute with that company. Now I am taking the legal services of a person who is in Canada only. The expenditure, the services are availed by whom? The Indian company. When I am the Indian company availing the services, then I am liable to pay RCM. The play you might be getting confused because of the place of supply of services, because the place of supply you are thinking is a foreign entity. No, it's not foreign entity. General clause, place of supply, if it is a B2B billing, then it is the Indian company and I'm the registered person. The place of supply is where my registered office is situated. So it comes to India. Okay. Okay. So we talked about import of services. We are mentioning here import of services का specific RCM यहाँ mention होगा. ठीक है, ये हम यहाँ specifically mention करेंगे. इसके अलावा all the RCMs in addition to this RCM will mention here. Inward supplies liable to reverse charge other than 1 and 2. Okay, so 1 and 2 inward supplies liable to RCM other than this I'm going to pay here. Correct? Getting my point? जैसे आप legal services का हुआ, security, कुछ भी वो आप यहाँ mention करेंगे. So I'm getting a question which says that if I import some software but I am not registered person, should I get myself registered to pay taxes under RCM? This question is asked by Mr. R.K. Pradhan. So one thing, if you are importing some software and you are not a registered person, then first thing, no liability arises on you to pay taxes under RCM. For registration, again, you have to see the taxable turnover limits. If you fall in that limit, then only you need to get your this. Secondly, this is you're under registered to pay RCM. What I believe is that in the last session also we discussed. Wait a minute. So in the last session, we discussed. Let's take it out. I want to clear this. So I think we were talking about so if you are compulsory registration, if you are liable to pay taxes under reverse charge mechanism, then there is no exemption available to you. You have to pay the taxes irrespective of the turnover. I missed that point. So if that is the case, you are required to get registration under RCM, provided it's a mandatory RCM services being taken. Okay, so there is one question, one more question. If an Indian company employee in India availed training out of India, is import liable to RCM? It is asked by Veena ma'am. So there is an Indian company whose employee in India is availing training out of India. I am availing a training out of India. So this generally happens. Many companies and MNCs I have generally seen that they take services from their counterparts in different countries who come to India to provide services, and the billing process is happening. Where the billing process is happening, internal company things, no billing, avoided. But if the billing thing is happening, I'm getting a bill, then obviously I'm liable to pay RCM. This is an import of services that I have taken. Okay, let's move ahead. Then there is separate column inward supplies from IST. If you are getting any ITC from the input service distributor, in the first session we have discussed what is an IST. If any of my company has got registration under IST, my branches, I have discussed the case of Airtel with you. If Airtel's head office get itself registered under IST, it can divide the ITC in all other branches so that they can take the ITC. If there is such the case, I'll take the ITC over here. Then the residual portion comes, all other ITC. Okay, so all other ITC, whatever is happening, we are going to take it here. It's mentioned over here. This figure, most of the part is coming from your 2B. It's highlighted, all other ITC, and this 2B is GSTR-2B I'm talking about. If you make any changes, then again it gets highlighted in the red color that you are making the changes. Okay. Now this is important. Rule 42 and 43 of the Act. Any idea why there is Rule 42 and 43? What exactly does it deals with? Rule 42 and 43. Common ITC, reversal of ITC. Why do we need to do reversal of ITC, Parthaji? So common ITC partly for business. Okay, so people are coming with answers, partly for exempt services, for a proportional domestic turnover. Parthaji, very complex answer. Okay, so what exactly happens is that I am a person, I am a taxable person who is rendering a mix of services. Taxable supplies are there. There is export, or I would say zero rated happening. Then what is happening? I'm also into exempted or nil rated supplies. I'm doing that as well. Exempted and nil rated supplies. And then there is this reverse charge supplies. So since this is also taxable supply, it forms a part of this only. So if my total turnover comprises of this taxable, including zero rated. Now I'm not going to bifurcate zero rated or reverse charge. I'm going to say taxable supplies. If I have taxable supplies and if I have exempted supplies, I am not allowed to take all the ITC. Basic funda हमने I think first class या second class में discuss किया था, where I told you what is GST. It is taxes on value addition. हमने ये बात किया था कि value addition पे हम taxes देते हैं. अगर आप if you are into the sales of exempted goods, when you are selling exempted goods, no further GST is getting charged. So the chain is getting stopped for the charging of GST. So once the chain gets stopped, government says, okay, whatever ITC you have taken in with respect to this particular sales, which is not chargeable under tax, please refund it back to me. I won't give you ITC for that. I'm not going to give you benefit in respect of the exempted or the nil rated sales. So let's take it, this taxable turnover as T. This is my taxable turnover. Then there is my exempted turnover. Which is E. The total turnover is TO is equals to T plus E. Then I have ITC, total ITC. Now this total ITC can be of two types. Specifically for taxable things, specifically for exempted turnover. And third can be common ITC. एक बार इसको पढ़े. ऐसा भी हो सकता है that whatever is your taxable supplies, let's take an example. I am a taxable dealer of laptops. I am selling laptops and I am selling magazines also. Magazines are nil rated, exempted items, and laptops are taxable things. So there can be certain purchases, like I am a dealer into laptops, so whatever, I'm manufacturer of laptops. So there are input materials which I'm using while making the laptop, like the machinery, the batteries, this plastic, screen. Specifically, these inputs are meant for the laptop. So I'll get the entire ITC for those items. Then I'm a dealer of magazines also, which is exempted. For magazines, I'm using ink for printing. I am taking editorial services from outside. Then I am taking paper material, which is used for this magazines also. So these are specifically meant for exempted sales. So you won't get a zero. You will get zero ITC of this. So whatever are the inputs used for the supply of the magazines, no ITC available. But there are certain items which are common ITC items. For example, you are using telephone services. You are using internet services, legal services, security agent services, then machinery repair and maintenance, building repair and maintenance. Specifically, in terms of, they can't be said that this is for taxable and this is for exempted. This is the common services. RCA services, audit services, I am doing the audit of the entire organization. I'm not saying I'm doing audit only of the taxable sales or of the exempted sales. I do by billing for the entire company. So this is a common ITC things. So that out of that ITC, I need to take out what ITC will be available to me and what ITC is not available to me because of the exempted sales. This is governed by Rule 42 and 44. 43. What reversal I am required to make. So what I'll do now, for this, I have taken out the common ITC. Before applying the formula, I'll again determine what is the common ITC final for application of Rule 42 and 43. So I'll first deduct those specific things such as 17.5. There might be ITC relating to section 17.5. Section 17.5 is the section which specifically tells for these particular items I won't give you ITC, such as cars, such as items given in gift, lost in theft, predefined. Construction expenses, section 17.5 talks in depth. No ITC available for those items. So ये तो मुझे पहले ही हटा देने, वो तो मिलेगा ही नहीं. So I am going to reduce it from the common ITC things. Okay. Then if there is any expense which is of personal nature. Personal nature, you won't even get the ITC for the personal nature thing. For example, like there have been certain expenses done specifically for the director, and that too of his personal nature, which nowhere says that it is for the this development of the business or the furtherance of business. So even for that, I'm not going to give you an ITC. So I get the final common input P. So how to apply Rule 42 and this 43? हमने यहाँ पिछले वाली शीट में निकाला था. T था taxable turnover, E था exempted turnover, T plus E my total turnover. So T my taxable turnover divided by TO, which is T plus E into common ITC. What I'll get? ITC available. For example, total ITC available to me is 100 rupees. Total. Out of this, 40 rupees is my eligible, and I have to write it off. Reversal I'm required to do of 60 rupees. So how we will mention it in the 3B portal? Where is my 3B? Here. How I'm going to mention? So what will happen? All other ITC में सारा ITC आ जाएगा, क्योंकि ये जो मेरा total ITC है, not the common, the total ITC, the big chunk is going to come through 2B. 2B is not that qualified or that mature that it can determine that, okay, this person is rendering both exempt and taxable, so let me reduce it. No, it will give me the total 100 figure here. All other ITC, I'll get the figure. What I'm going to do, the 60 rupees which I am required to reverse, I'll mention it here. ITC to be reversed as per Rule 42 and 43. I'll mention here, it will get deducted, and I'll get the net ITC available. A minus B will come here. So this will come out to 40 rupees. I'm taking that 160-40 example only. So I'll get the net ITC available here, 40 rupees. Okay. Rule 42 and 43, please do make sure while finalizing the GST returns for your clients, please see the turnovers. What exactly is the turnover of the SSE? Also, one important question. Now 3Bs, let's suppose I'm talking about this monthly return filer. ठीक है? अब आज मुझे GSTR-3B file करनी है जुलाई की. So which turnover I'm going to talk about? Am I going to talk about previous financial year entire turnover? Which turnover? ये जो फॉर्मूले में हमने जो लगाया है turnover, total turnover, taxable turnover, exempt turnover. Which turnover? R.K. Pradhan ji, this is my question. I want answers from you people. Which turnover? Monthly, Yearly, current year, previous period. Okay. So mixed responses, current month, last month, for the month, last financial year. Very confusing answer. Okay. So write it down, everyone. Homework for today. I'm giving you the homework. कल सुबह हम ये जरूर डिस्कस करेंगे, मुझे याद दिलाना. I should not forget it. ये आप मुझे कल सुबह बताएंगे. हाँ, अर्शद जी सेइंग इट्स मंथली फाइलिंग. यस, मैं मंथली फाइलर हूँ. मैं हर महीने अपनी 3B की लाइबिलिटी डिस्चार्ज करती हूँ और मुझे रूल 42 एंड 43 के अकॉर्डिंग रिवर्सल डिटरमाइन करना है. तो which turnover I am going to talk about. So I am filing for July 2021. Very clear and specific. Which turnover I'll take into consideration to determine the reversal. ये आप मुझे सब कल बताएंगे. ठीक है. इसके बाद आता है आपका अदर्स. अदर्स सेक्शन में आपके क्वेश्चंस, सॉरी, अदर सेक्शंस में आपके पास आता है रूल 44. जैसे आपने अपना रजिस्ट्रेशन कैंसिल कर दिया तो आपको आईटीसी रिवर्स करना है. आप अगर यहाँ से कॉम्पोजिशन डीलर में शिफ्ट हो गए तो आपको अपना आईटीसी रिवर्स करना है, तो आप ये यहाँ मेंशन कर देते हैं. ओके. अब उसके बाद डी पॉइंट में वो आपसे डिटेल मांगता है इनएलिजिबल आईटीसी एज पर सेक्शन 17.5. अगर आपके 17.5 में कुछ इनएलिजिबल आईटीसी है जो आप ऑलरेडी ऊपर से माइनस कर चुके हैं, आप यहाँ पे अलग से मेंशन कर सकते हैं कि 17.5 के अकॉर्डिंग ये मेरे इनएलिजिबल आईटीसी है. एक चीज ध्यान रखना प्लीज, ये जो है यहाँ पे जो डेटा लेता है ए माइनस बी लेता है, ए माइनस बी माइनस डी नहीं लेता है. तो अगर आपको पता है आपका 2B में जो टोटल आईटीसी आया है, ₹1,00,000 का आईटीसी आया है, आउट ऑफ दैट ₹1,00,000 आईटीसी 40,000 relates to a car, the car that you have purchased, and you are not eligible to take that ITC. Okay, 17.5 की specific condition, you are not into car hiring or leasing services, neither you are selling or buying cars, you are into a general business. So you're not required to take that ITC. You will mention 40,000 here, but please deduct it beforehand from all other ITC. Do your calculations and mention the net figure here. Otherwise, it will take the ITC of 40,000. यहाँ पे हम सिर्फ अलग से mention करते हैं. ठीक है? और कुछ नहीं किया जाता है, अलग से mention करते हैं. Pranavi, I think you have asked a very long question. I'm not taking the time to read it. Please post it on the question forum. I'll answer it. Okay? Getting it? Then ineligible ITC, others, कोई और reason की वजह से कोई भी आपके पास ineligible ITC है, इसके बहुत सारे आते हैं reasons. I'm not getting clicked anywhere. Sagar is asking 180 days reversal ITC, where we can show 180 days reversal ITC. Sagar, you can show in others over here. B second. Okay, you can mention it here. Pranavi, yes, the question forum is the self-learning portal. It's over there. You must have received the mail for question forum as well. Nandini, I'm going ahead in English only. Iske 180 days reversal, what the Sagar has asked, what is the rule? Just to give you a brief on that. If you have made any purchase, and you have not the payment of that purchase within 180 days, then you are required to write off, to reverse the ITC that you have claimed, and that too along with interest. Take notice of this, along with interest. You were not eligible to take that ITC, but you have taken anticipating that you will make the payment, but you have not made the payment. So now reverse it along with interest. The day you will make the payment, you can again take the ITC. So it's a cost on your pocket, that interest cost. Okay. RK Pradhanji saying 17.5 ITC is to be included in A3. No, RK Pradhanji, why 17.5 will come in A3. 17.5 automatically will come under A5. Automatically. Jo items relate to 17.5, it will automatically come here, but you need to deduct it from here in your Excel calculations. You will do your Excel things. Whatever the worksheet you are maintaining, you will deduct it and then mention the net figure here, and here you can specify. You can give it separately. Okay. See, what I generally prefer, always make Excel working sheets, proper Excel working sheets for your GSTR-1 and GSTR-3B. See, the cases can come anytime, notices can come in anytime. 3B is just a summary statement. What is the working behind your 3B? You should always be having that entire thing with you, that template. Please do maintain it month-wise with you. I maintain a 3B template. I have a very well-defined 3B template. It's a kind of questionnaire which I give to my clients. Please do fill it. Drop downs are given so they can't change the data. Yes, no, what kind of service, and I fill it and I'll get my data. So I believe you must have seen on the Tax Guru thing. After completion of my this GST compliance, I am going to go ahead with advanced Excel course as well. So in that, I'm going to teach how to maintain your GSTR-3B templates, how you are going to work on that. Pranavi, Satyan, all these things will be shared in the different course, the the Excel templates. Okay. Okay. So this is what we do. Then I'm saying cancel. If I would have to submit it, I would have confirmed it, but it is already filled, so I cancelled it. Then it specifically asks what are your exempt, nil rated and non-GST inward supplies, even it includes the composition supplies. Do take care of that thing. In the last class, I've told you, the composition supplier will not issue you a tax invoice, he will issue a bill of supply. The bill will not contain any GST component. He will pay 1% or 5% out of his own pocket. So you will mention here what is the amount of supply, interstate or intrastate, non-GST, composition, exempt and nil-rated supplies, specifically in these columns. Please do mention it. I don't know why most of the people are not mentioning it. Okay, please do mention it here. Sagar, you are asking that a brief on ITC on capital goods. See, Sagar, I'm just giving you a brief. If you have any specific query, you can post it on the portal. I'll answer it. So on capital goods, you get all the ITC as per the law. There is no specific hitting that you won't get the ITC. In fact, it's better if I talk about the previous laws. Over there, ITC was available in installments 2 years, but not so is the case in the GST. You get in the year of purchase, provided that particular item is not covered by section 17.5. Just take care of that. Otherwise, you will get the ITC on capital goods. Okay. Now I'm pressing cancel because it's done. Then interest and late fees. So if you will see the PPT, I have even mentioned there is a latest notification. Should I take you to the PPT? So if you will see, all these things have been done, taken you through the entire thing. Rule 42, 43, section 17.5B, मैंने यहाँ पे I've given you it in a brief, the snapshot. What is 17.5? You can read it. Okay, then we are coming to this late fees and interest thing. Okay, so late fees. This is something, a very recent change that has been made. I wanted to talk on that. If you will see, what is the late fees? In case it is a nil return filer, it is rupees 10 CGST, rupees 10 SGST. Late fees is always in CGST and SGST. It's never on IGST. Okay, and if it is your return which have some data, it is 25 rupees per day. So in total, 50 rupees per day if there is data in your return, 20 rupees per day if you are a nil return filer. However, earlier the maximum late fees was rupees 5,000, but now there are 3 slabs into that, which has come with the amnesty scheme. I believe you must be aware there is an amnesty scheme currently running. So if by 31st August you file your returns, any return previously pending which is not till filed, your amount of penalty late fees is limited to 500 or 1,000. This is a benefit given by the government. So what it says is that late fees capping has been defined. So for nil return, it will be a maximum of 500. For turnover less than 1.5 crore, it is 2,000. For turnover from 1.5 to 5 crores, it is 5,000, and turnover more than 5 crores, it's a 10,000. So capping they have done. This was already there, 10,000, this was already there, but for the people below that, they have given a benefit. If you are a small dealer, you will not end up paying huge amount of late fees. Okay, this is the late fees thing. Then interest, you are liable to pay interest if you are filing your returns late. Please do calculate it. My practical experience, specifically when I talk about industries having turnover more than 5 CRs, if my return is delayed even by a single day and I have filed the return without calculating the interest, I have received the notices. The department issue me a notice maybe in after 7 months, 9 months, 10 months, and they will say that you were liable to pay interest. Now pay the interest to us. They do the calculation and generally it's correct. So if you are even delayed by a day, please calculate the interest and make the payment of the interest. What the rate says is that if the taxes are required to be paid on your liability, it is 18% per annum. And if you have taken the wrong claim of the ITC, then it would be 24% per annum. This is the rate of interest. However, there is a notification. This I've shown how to calculate it. Per day के हिसाब से आप calculate करते हो. What is the delay in the number of days? I have, this is the notification. So which says that now you are required to pay interest on your net liability. So what was happening earlier prior to this notification? I am having output liability 100. I am having ITC 40 rupees. Because of any reason, I was not able to discharge my liability of 60 rupees. 100 minus 40, 60 rupees ka liability aata hai. Because of any reason, I'm not able to find. So earlier what I used to do, I used to pay taxes on 100 interest. I used to pay interest on 100 rupees my outward liability, that is 18% of rupees 100. But now after this notification has come into existence, and this is with a retrospective effect applicable from 1st July 2017, which says you are liable to pay interest on the net tax liability. When I say net tax liability, that is 100 minus 40, 60 rupees. 60 rupees is my net outward liability, so I'm going to pay interest on that only. A very welcome notification from the government. क्योंकि ITC तो है ना मेरे पास. I have already paid for the ITC, so the government should give me that benefit. And now the government has given that benefit. Okay. Thereafter, you say you've done this. Finally, it's about payment of your taxes. It shows us what is your cash ledger balance. Then it shows this is your total outward liability, the ITC that is available to you. It shows, and then other than reverse charge taxes to be paid in cash, reverse charge taxes payable, reverse charge taxes to be paid in cash, it shows you everything. If you are having enough ITC to make the payment of your liability, it will not demand excess cash from you. But if you don't have cash with you and there is a liability which is still remaining to be paid in cash, it will show the data here. Wait a minute. So, additional cash required. यहाँ आपको लिख के आ जाएगा कि आपको कितना cash pay करना है. So accordingly, you will determine that, okay, I want to make the payment of cash. You can directly from here say create challan. Once you will click on the create challan, see benefit of creating challan from here is that it will create the entire challan on its own depending upon whatever is your liability, be it cash, be it interest, be it late fees, anything. SGST, IGST, CGST, properly it will be mentioned in that, and then you will be liable to make the payment of the taxes. And once you make the payment of the taxes, it appears in your cash ledger. वो यहाँ से उठाता है, and then you click on make payment post credit to ledger. You declare that. Okay. Done that. You work on it. So Sagar is raising one query. Very nice query, Sagar. As per rule 86.2, we need to pay 1% in cash. Agreed, there is a rule, but there are certain conditions attached to this particular rule, 86.2, to whom it is applicable. So accordingly, you determine if you fall in that category, you will make the payment of 1% taxes in cash. Another practical scenario that I would like to bring to all of your kind notices. Department, this is on my practical experience and what I have learned from the department people. So what happens is that everyone who is running a business has a GP and NP ratio. Agreed? GP NP ratio hota hai. If I have a GP ratio, what it says is that my value addition to what I'm selling is 8%, 7%, 6%. If you are making a value addition of 8% and you are not even paying taxes of 1% of your total tax liability, though there is some issue. The government people will come back and say there is some issue. 8% addition in what you are purchasing and selling, and then you are not even paying 1% of the taxes in cash. So it means you have generated a lot of bills in your indirect expenditure. You have taken a lot of bills other than your purchases, which is not genuine. So generally last year I have seen many cases that have happened only on those assessees who were not paying taxes in cash. The department takes out the data, do their statistical analysis, that within a year they were taking the data of the entire year, that in the whole financial year the people are not making even 3% of the payment of taxes in cash. Pakdo ise. Please check what is happening. The department came with the notices. Search and seizures were made. So try to explain to your clients, because I know you would be dealing with such clients, and I do deal with a lot of clients who say that I have lots of ITC. They generate a lot of bills. The bills are coming into the scenario and based on which they take the ITC. They don't discharge their GST liability. Business to business, scenario to scenario, and depending upon the facts of the case, you have to give opinions to your client. Then only we would be like good chartered accountants. Our duty is not only to file 3B and 1. That could be done by any person, any accountant. But if a person comes to a chartered accountant or a person with the technical knowledge of these, so we will give them these opinions and consultation that this is something wrong happening with your data. Okay, so once you do that, then you do your save GSTR-3B. आप preview draft GSTR-3B करते हो. You have to do that preview GSTR-3B, then only your proceed to payment will be activated, not before that. So it's get activated. You proceed to payment करा आपने, and then you make the payments and your returns get filed. So before filing the return, I would also like to add on this is the how the ITC settlement is done. Okay, very basic rule, but very important rule, how the ITC utilization is Done. So I have this IGST, CGST, and SGST. These are my liability column. Okay. Then I have ITC of IGST, CGST, and then SGST. The law has given a priority channel, right? The way you will utilize your CGST, IGST, or SGST, it cannot happen that I can use any ITC anywhere. This will not happen. So when I have IGST, ITC, it will be first utilized in IGST liability. अगर मेरे पास IGST का क्रेडिट है तो पहले मैं उससे IGST की लायबिलिटी डिस्चार्ज करूंगी. ओके उसके बाद भी मेरे पास IGST का ITC बचता है. If utilizing IGST ITC for the IGST liability, again then I have IGST ITC left, then what I'll do, I'll use it in CGST, second preference, and then I'll use it in SGST. Similar thing is mentioned here. That first IGST will be utilized for the output liability on account of integrated taxes. First with liability of IGST output. First, I'll use IGST ITC into IGST output. If still something is left, I'll use it for CGST and SGST. So they both are with the same priority and it's my wish in any proportion. See, this is some logical decisions the people take at that point only, that what CGST and SGST ITC is available with me. Accordingly, I utilize IGST in CGST or SGST. Any ratio, any proportion, 50-40, 30-70, 10-10, 0-100, 100-0, anything. Now, if I have CGST input, so first it will be used in IGST liability. पुराना लॉ, जो पुराना रूल था, वो कहता था CGST against CGST, but now the new rule has changed. So if I have CGST ITC, I will first use for IGST. If still there is something left, then I'll use for CGST. And this cannot be used here. No. CGST ITC cannot be used for SGST. Simple logic, yaar. State government or central government अलग है. So both the governments are अलग, different. Both the governments don't allow their ITC to be utilized for meeting out each other liability. Simple logic, simple rule. Okay. Similarly, SGST. Nandini is asking, IGST means import or interstate? Nandini, IGST is used for both, import and interstate both. So I'm talking about IGST, so it can be out of anything. Similarly, if I have SGST, I'll first use towards IGST liability if I have any. If I don't have any IGST liability, I'll use it for SGST liability. It also cannot be used for CGST. Okay. Determine the preference chain and then accordingly you need to make the utilization of GST. But now the portal is very intelligent. It determines exactly, it gives you that this is how I'm doing the ITC utilization and this is the cash you need to pay. So why do you need this knowledge? You need this knowledge. See, what happens is that when you are doing the processing of returns for your customer, right? You can't wait to feed everything into the portal and then you will come out that this is the liability required. Customer, we need to send the challans to the customer well in advance so that they can make the payments. So you will determine it through what? Your Excel workings. So you will determine that what is your liability, how it will be adjusted against the ITC, and this is what you are required to pay. So this is how you make the payments. IGST is utilized. Make payment, you proceed, and then preview your draft GSTR-3B. You can download it. Please keep all the downloads with you. I maintain all the downloads with me. These are the proof. I think the rule came in July, something in November, December 20, where it was told that the GST portal will now be maintaining data for 3 years only. So data beyond 3 years will get deleted on their own. So you will not be able to download. So maintain all the downloads with you in the system. Don't rely that everything is on the GST portal and we can get it whenever we want. Okay. The next is filing 3B with DSC or EBC. For a company and an LLP, it is mandatory to file the return with DSC. However, partnership or individuals, they can file with it EBC. EBC is code that will be coming on their mobile or email ID. DSC is the token you have. Digital signatures. You file it and then proceed. Okay. So once you file it, this is the message displayed. I, as a chartered accountant, I maintain this habit. ARN number. The acknowledgement reference number generates. I maintain this. I maintain the date on which it's filed. I maintain an Excel files where I maintain all this information for all my clients. Preferable, very preferable, good practices to be done. Okay. Then you do your return is filed and the status is changed from filing to filed. Then next is your QRMP scheme. So there is one question. Sagar is saying, if I have shown GST in wrong heading, in that case, how can we show or correct it in next return? So Sagar, what you have done might be your liability was of CGST, SGST, and by default you have declared it of IGST. When you will file your next 3B, what you will do, you will reverse CGST, SGST, you will take that ITC, but on the IGST, which you have not paid in the last return, now you are paying, there is a delay of 30 days, make the interest payments also. You won't get any interest on the refund because we are not demanding the refund in cash. We are going to do the adjustments. But for the IGST, you have to make the payment of the interest. Do make those payments. The next is your QRMP scheme. When I talk about the QRMP scheme, how the payments are made. So QRMP, I've told you how the QRMP is determined. The turnover I have told. Quarterly process, how to opt for QRMP scheme, I've told you. What is the basis it takes the tax liability? So it sees, like in the previous period, you are in QRMP. Let's suppose it is April to June. And you have paid a total tax liability of 100 rupees. Now next period is July to July, August, September. So for July, for August, for September, you will pay 35% of this, 35% of this balance here. Because for September, you are going to file your 3B. You will determine the total liability. Let's suppose my total liability comes out to 120. So I've already paid 35 minus 35, 50 rupees. I'll pay it in September. This is a fixed method. Fixed installment method in QRMP. What is this called? Fixed installment method. Okay. Then the other method is self-assessment method. Now let's suppose I determine that for total liability was 100 previous, and July, August, September. Now I know that for July only my liability is 120, right? How will I suffice by paying 35 rupees? If I make the entire payment in September, sooner or later, a department can come back to me that your liability was 120, so deferment of liability, what do? So if I want to make the excess payment, I can make here. Or it can also happen for this month, I don't have sales. My liability is hardly rupees 5. Why should I pay 35? It's a blockage on my working capital. I can't hit my working capital so much. So I want to make a payment of rupees 5 only. So I'll go for the self-assessment method. I'll declare my thing and I want to make the payment of rupees 5 only. Let's go on the portal. Services, I clicked on payments. I clicked on create challan. Very firstly, it asked me this question that please provide what are you making payment for? Monthly payment for quarterly return kar rahe ho aap under the QRMP scheme or any other payment. So when I say I'm doing monthly payment for quarterly return, I'll define which financial year, which period. I want to pay 35% of the challan on self-assessment basis. When I say this, see, this notion has come, this notification. Interest will be levied as per law in case of payment made through other than 35% challan. If you are paying rupees 5 in July, you know your liability is only rupees 5, then only do that. If later on, because of any scenario, your liability comes out to rupees 20, department will come back and say, you have less paid the taxes of 15 rupees. As per QRMP, you were liable to pay 35. Actual liability was 20 and you have paid only 5. Pay interest to me. Government never leaves its revenue. It never leaves its income. Okay. So this is how you make the payment for this QRMP scheme. Okay. Pranavi is saying, so this is as good as advanced tax. No, Pranavi, this is not advanced tax. You are incurring the sales liability and ITC in the month, and then the next month you are making the payment. So I don't find a major difference in the monthly and the QRMP scheme. IFF, there is IFF form also in place of GSTR1, which we will discuss tomorrow. You are required to make the payment of taxes. Only thing which you are saved from is that you are not required to make the calculations if your business is a stable business over the period. You can go ahead with the filing of QRMP, just go pay 35% and come out. Okay. So this is the QRMP scheme only, which I have mentioned, shown you the screenshots, and accordingly you can do the payments. The last topic for today, not that big, quite easy to be done. Whatever we have done in this 3B, we have done this online. If we want to do it offline, so this is the GSTR-3B offline utility. I clicked on downloads, offline tools, GSTR-3B offline utility. So I'll click here, download. It will ask me, do you want to download it? Proceed, and my Excel 3B utility gets downloaded. Okay, so I have even downloaded it earlier. So this is the Excel file where whatever working we have done till now on the portal on the online mode, we can do it through offline mode as well. Okay. Wait a minute, just let me take this. So you will mention your GSTIN, year drop downs are there, which year you want to mention, then month drop downs are there. I have to do it in enable editing. Let's suppose I mention my year is 21-22. Mention the month, notify for July. If I do, okay, So macros I have to enable first. Validate. Just mention this detail. If it's something nil return after file, say it is saying validation successful. I can save it and generate my generate file is for the generation of XML. Sorry, JSON file. So now in the GST portal, if we are dealing with offline utility, everything is filed through the JSON thing. So over here, it's the same tables what we have read on the online 3.1 table. The sales things, the fields where I cannot fill the data, you don't have an option to fill it. Eligible ITC, values exempt, nil rated, everything is same. See, me as a person into GST, I think I'm not even using GSTR-3B offline utility because the summary sheet is there on the portal. I have just to feed the figures, and I have my Excel workings, the workings behind coming out to those figures. Even if I'm using this offline utility, I have to make those files, right? So I prefer making it and then I feed the data directly on the online portal. But for GSTR1, I have certain areas where it is a compulsion. I cannot move with offline utility. That will do tomorrow. But in 3B, you can go directly on the portal or you can do this offline thing also. Not an issue. Offline का बस ये फायदा होता है. The benefit is that the offline can be used multiple times. Every month you can just take the same sheet. Your basic information is there. And if your party is like a person having only rental income, you just have to change the period, generate JSON, upload. Nothing is to be done. They don't have ITCs. They don't have any other output. Just file it. It makes your life easy, right? Okay. So this is something which is exactly presented in the PPT as well. So don't worry, everything is mentioned here. Utility, I've given you all the screenshots. You can download it as well on the portal. Without logging also, this sheet is available. Okay. Then when you go on this GST portal, so last is you get your, okay, that's something that I wanted to show you, returns dashboard. So status is filed, 3B filed. And if I'll see this for July, so in the one, I have both the options, prepare online and offline. कल यहाँ पे 3B का box आ जाएगा. Again there will be option prepare online and offline, and when I click on offline, it gives me an option. Over here it is giving me an option in voice upload. You choose your thing. In 3B it gives you upload your file. You choose your file, save it, and then it is uploaded directly into your portal. Okay, I'll do the practical tomorrow. I'll show it to you, the 3B thing. Today the box is not there, my fault. I should have taken care of the dates while going ahead. Okay, so I think good to go ahead with today's session. We have completed the 3B. I'll be sharing all the things with you ASAP. The team will share with you by Monday evening. You will get everything. I'll also ask the team to share the email ID. Wait a minute, I've not got a response. Okay, it's the same email ID. I'm writing it. The team has given to me. Please write up all your queries there. Whatever is your query. info@tagsguru.edu.com. Please mention your queries here and you will get your answers. Please get it resolved because I don't feel good when you people are not getting my recordings and the PPT, the study material, right? And the forum where you can write your questions is, please to write it tagsguru.edu.com/forum /GST forum. You can write your questions here. Last week, all the questions which I've received, I've answered to every one of them. None of the question was left from my side. So this is an open area where you can write all your questions. Okay. If people are still writing, you can write it. Email to write your queries, and this is the forum for your questions. Okay. So people, goodbye for today. A very nice and interactive session with you all people. I really enjoy when I get the answers from you every time. So we'll meet tomorrow morning, sharp 8 o'clock. Don't be late. Have your nice cup of tea and coffee in the morning and be ready. Okay. See ya, people. Bye-bye. Good night. Thank you.